Ashley Sellers, speech language pathologist and owner and operator of Speech Language and Beyond. I just want to come to you today and talk to you very quickly about childhood apraxia of speech. The reason why I chose to kind of show you some strategies and some things I'm currently working on with this right now with my current clients is because I'm seeing an increase of my clients come through the door that have childhood apraxia of speech. I want to just kind of give you a very lax way of how I identify that. When children walk through the door and their parents are saying that they are saying their sounds incorrectly, the first thing we always want to think of is that maybe they have an articulation disorder. And it's normal for children to come in and they can't produce R, they can't produce SH or L, or they're leaving off the ending sound of a word. And those are pure, articulation disorders that require, breaking down the sound, saying it by itself, saying it in some syllables, saying it in words, and then in sentences, and it's very structured. It is a motor movement in the fact that we have muscles, our lingual muscles, which are our tongue muscles, our labial muscles, which are our lip muscles, that we use in order to restrict the oral cavity, to shape it the right way, to make sure that certain parts of our mouth come in contact with each other in order to form the right sound. But the thing that I actually look for a child who has childhood apraxia of speech is, are they distorting vowels? Vowel sounds are open mouth sounds, and when children cannot produce those correctly because there's not any type of restriction of the vocal cavity that happens, the vocal tract that happens when they make this sound, they're fairly open mouth sounds that are pretty much formed by the height of our tongue, how forward it goes in the mouth, how far back it goes, how high or how low it is in our mouth when we're producing these open mouth sounds. So when they distort vowels, that's a key feature to me that I look for. If they cannot maintain the shape of multiple syllable words, so if we have a word like banana and it becomes nana, without the nana, that they're breaking it down, or every time they say that word that there's a different production of it that is never the same but it's never really banana at the same time, that's something else that I look for. Another thing is, I check to see, are there any groping behaviors that they're using with their mouth? Like, does it seem tense? Does it seem tight? Is it too loose? Because one of the things about apraxia is that the timing and the precision of motor programming that it takes to produce the sound, that's the part that's off. So they never really do it the same way every time. The error is not always the same every time, but there's an error. And then when I have those kids that, if I'm trying to get them to say rock, or what's another good word, ball, or book, and the production from those, like, it's normal for a child to say book for book and leave off that ending sound, or to say tup for cup, because they're replacing that K sound that's made at the back of the mouth with a front sound, which is T, which is made at the front. That's a typical error. But when I get wook for book, or a sound or a word that's nowhere near book when I try to get them to say it, that's another thing, because just the error in and of itself is so far from a typical error in that child saying that word that it just sticks out as them having apraxia. So let me say this, I'm telling you the key things that I look for as a speech therapist. I'm not giving you a formal definition, but if you're wanting a more formal definition, which I plan on doing a video where I give you the formal definition, the formal signs and symptoms that Ashley tells us to look for. Ashley is our national organization that does, they create the rules for our certification. They tell us what our scope of practice is. They give us our the laws and rules that we have to abide by as a speech therapist working in private practice or working in the school system, or or whatever. And so I plan on giving you that formal thing, but I just wanted to do something kind of quick just in case I have a parent that has a child with apraxia, you're not knowing what to do at home. If I have a speech therapist that you're not familiar with this and you're not knowing where to start, to give you somewhere to start, or if I have a graduate clinician out there and you're working with your first childhood apraxia student and you're not sure on what to look for, the three things I always focus on the most, because of what I see, is vowel production, maintaining syllable shapes, being able to produce consonant vowel words, which are CV, open syllables, and then being able to close the syllables by producing consonant vowel consonant words. And then once they do that, I build on that by adding an extra syllable and making sure they can maintain the shape. So I'm going to give you, typically when a child walks through my door, in the beginning stages of working on apraxia, the first few things that I work on. The first thing I always do, and I do this even with my RTIC kids, just because it never hurts to have a review of how all sounds are made individually. So this raggedy book that you see here is what I call my sound book. I was given this by one of my graduate clinical supervisors when I was starting off as a graduate student and doing my first round of clinicals and working with students and stuff. And she gave me this sound book that I took and I colored myself, and I've been using it ever since. And so what it does is a book that gives you a sample of all the consonant sounds that we use in the English language, and it attaches it with a picture, gives each sound a name. And then the way that I use it with my kids, especially when they're young. So this is ball. So I say, what is this? This is a ball. This is the ball sound, like the ball is bouncing. B, 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 b. And we act as if we're bouncing the ball. If I do another one, I say, oh, what happened to the balloon? It popped. Let's make the popping sound. P, 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 p. I always make sure that whenever I am introducing a sound and I'm using pictures, I always put it close to my mouth so they can see how I'm moving my mouth to make the sound, while also giving them the same stimulation that they need with the picture as well. But I always put it where they can see my mouth so they can mimic the movement that they see me making or whatever. So we go through and we do that just to do a few more. Another one that we do is the good sound, which represents the M sound. So I say while rubbing my belly, like good. And then we have the nose sound, n, and we go through and we do the rest of the book just like that, okay? And it goes all the way up into S, S, H, L, K, T, D. It covers all of those sounds. So we go through, and we do the sound book first, okay? The next thing that I do, because I know that they are distorting vowels, these are what I call sequencing sheets. I found this on speakingofspeech.com. It is a website where speech therapists, they go in, they create products, they put them up for free for you to be able to download and use at your own discretion. So I did not create this. It's a free product that I found. I frequent this website often for my therapy. And as you can see, this particular one, it just focuses on vowels, all right, because they're distorting the vowels. So you give them a chance to practice the different shapes that your mouth would make as you're going from one vowel sound to the next. So for this one, it's actually I-O. I-O. Do you see how different that is? I is in the back and it's high. O is round and it's towards the front. And you want them to be able to go back and forth between those sounds with precision and while maintaining correct sound production. So we would go through it. What I normally use with this are magnetic chips that come in different colors, just like this. All right, and then we have the magnetic wand that we use. So for each one, I just allow them, every time we say one, I hold it up to my mouth. I say it first, I. They say I. And then I hand it to them, and then they'll cover up the first one. And then we do another one. I. Hold it up where they can see it. I. They say I hand it to them, and they cover up the next one, and we keep going until we've covered the entire thing. So the way the sequencing works, it gives you the sound by itself a few times, plus a second sound. Then they kind of start to put them side by side with each other until we end up at this last row where you go, oh, I, and you want them to be able to do that with precision, with a certain rate of speed, all while maintaining correct production of the vowel sound. So they have one for I, O. We have another one for A, oo, E, oo, ah, e. Okay, so we start off and we'll go through a few of those. Now in between, what I normally do, because most of my children that I work with this, they're between the ages of 2 years, 6 months to about 4 or 5 years old. So that's asking a lot of them to sit here and keep saying all of these sounds, especially when they're first starting off and they're unable to do them correctly. So normally after I go through the sound book and I go through at least 2 or 3 of these sequencing activities, I kind of stop and I let them do something they enjoy. I may give them a game like Hungry Hippos, or let them complete a puzzle, blow some bubbles, or something like that, just to keep them interested before I get them back into that mode of us actually doing drill work. Okay, and then the next thing that I do, and I also found these on speakingofspeech.com, I like to focus on my open vowel sounds. Open vowels. What I mean by open vowel sounds is that it's a consonant vowel. Consonant vowel. The reason why it's important to go from doing a vowel sound by itself and then pairing it with a consonant is because a consonant sound can impact what the vowel sound actually sounds like once it's paired with the consonant. So it might be different when you're just saying ah by itself, but then you put a B in front of ah and it becomes ba. It becomes different because now you're adding that context of having to press your lips together for ba and then going from there to ah. And it impacts you just saying ah by itself. So it's very important that they can start off knowing how to pair a consonant and a vowel together. And if you want to start the other way with the vowel and then the vowel first and the consonant, that's another way that you can start off. But I normally start off with the consonant and then the vowel. Okay, and so these particular flashcards did not come in this order. They were actually 2 different sets that I combined together. And what I tried to do is, because we're talking about motor planning, because we're talking about precision and coordination, I thought about, okay, how are the sounds produced in the mouth? So if I'm going to start with open vowel sounds, I'm going to go from open vowel sounds to using my lips. So we start with our bilabial sounds first, which are b, p, and m. So if we start there and we pair them with a different vowel, here's 2 sets, a set of words. And because I know they are new at doing this, what I normally do is I don't require them to say the whole set first. I say each word individually, have them repeat, say the pair together while they listen and watch, and have them say it back to me. So it will go something like this. Hey, they say hey. Who, they say who. Hey, who, they say hey, who. As you notice, I have it at the side of my mouth. I'm still pointing to the picture. They can see the picture, they can see the letters, and they can see how I'm moving my mouth to do it. Okay, and then the next one after that is he, they say he. Ho, they say ho. He, ho, they say he, ho. I have them say it back to me. Now, of course, they may not always say it right the first time, so you may have to go back and repeat it and do it individually first before you try to start to do it, as a pair. But you provide correction as needed. Okay, so we start with H first, then we go from H to B. Okay, because we're starting, H is still kind of open, it's just like a breathing sound. So we're going to go from the vowel to the H sound, which is kind of open mouth as well, to B, using the front of the mouth, using our lips and pressing them together, starting at the front. So we do B, bo, by, boo. We're keeping it the same, but we're changing the vowel. They're getting used to making the B sound with different vowels behind it. B, bo, by, boo. After we leave B, we go to P. It's made just like B, but the B is more of a voice sound, whereas the P isn't. So we go pie, P, pay, new. Now they put this here. I would not have put the word new here, but I go ahead and go with it anyway. The next sound we will actually go with, because we're trying to coordinate it, going from the front to the back, so they can have some form of coordination to help them until they can get their timing together. So we go from that to me, may. Me is also a bilabial sound. It's more nasal because the sound comes through the nose, but you're still pressing your lips together to get that sound. Me, may. Then we go from that to no, knee. And now what we've done is we've gone from pressing the lips together to slightly putting the tongue at the top of the mouth, what we call an alveolar sound. N, n, n. All right, so we're in the mouth now. We're still towards the front. We haven't made our way to the back, but now we're switching it up a little bit, okay? And then the next one that I have in the set is to we. Now, I would not have put we there. I would have put we with me and be and all of those words because it's a bilabial sound where you're not pressing it together, but you're still making both of your lips go forward to make that sound. But that's how they have it here. But when we go to T, is also made by putting your tongue at the top of your mouth behind your teeth on the alveolar, but it still sounds different from N, but we're still keeping it in that same placement. All right, so they go from that to so, T. S is still made the same way, even though it's a fricative sound. You still have that tongue behind your teeth. It's more behind your teeth than at the top of your mouth, but that placement is not too far off. We're keeping it coordinated as we go. All right, and then we go from having the tongue at the top of the mouth at the alveolar or right behind the teeth to taking the tongue back to the palate. All right, so the sh sound is a palatal sound. So we're working our way back, we're coordinating it. So it's shoe, shy. Excuse me, it would have been see, say, and then shoe, shy. Okay, and then we go ahead and we attempt to move all the way back by giving you the word guy. Now, I would not have put high here. I would have kept it with the H sound. But I understand what they're doing because you get to the point with apraxia where you make it random. But I'm not trying to be random. I'm trying to be coordinated with them right now because they're in the beginning stages. And then we make our way on to the back of the mouth by doing cow, key, or key, cow. Okay? So that's how these cards work. And I'm not trying to show you exactly how to use it, but I'm telling you how I'm coordinating it together, that we're working on the distortion of vowels. We're working on being able to maintain syllable shapes, and we're not first starting with the syllable, but we're starting with how syllables are made up. So we're starting with the open syllable sound, which are CV words, and now we're going to go from there to a closed syllable sound. Okay? And that means we're putting a consonant, vowel, consonant. We're putting a consonant sound back on the end to make sure you can still maintain that vowel sound in the middle. All right? And we're using that same level of coordination. We're starting from the front and working our way to the back. So you're going to start with words like bob, babe, bomb, bib. We're going to go to P, pop, pod, and I'm stressing that ending sound because I want them to put it on. It requires coordination to go from a consonant sound, vowel sound, back to a consonant sound. Okay, and as you notice, we're still providing that variation because that consonant sound on the end is different, even though we're maintaining the same consonant sound at the beginning of the word. So you're still kind of working on variations, but we're doing it in a coordinated manner until they can learn to control their motor movement and make their sounds a little bit more precisely, and then we can start getting more random with them. And then we go from there to lid, line, making an L is still made, towards the middle of the middle of the mouth. At the top, it's a liquid sound, so it's kind of in between l. Okay, and so I'm not going to go through all of these, but that's kind of what I do. And then once I've gone through that, the closed syllable sounds, then I go from there to actually work on multiple syllable words. And I do this. This is an activity that I found on Discount School Supply. It's by Accelerations, and it says getting ready to read puzzles, and it has something to do with syllable search. Okay, so we're working on syllables, and the way that it's set up is that it gives you, hold on y'all, it's coming apart. Okay, the way that it works is that it gives you somewhat of a topic. Okay, so it says a fruit basket, and then you determine all the pictures that go in a fruit basket. All right, but as you can see on the puzzle, it has hands that are clapping. The hands that are clapping are actually representing the amount of syllables that are in the word. So what I normally do, especially if it's a kid that has apraxia and some language issues, we just work on categories. So I'll pair a fruit basket with making a salad, and it's coming apart as I'm trying to do it, making a salad. And I normally take all of the pictures apart, lay them on the table, all mixed up together, kind of like what they are in my hand, all mixed up together. And I normally have these two things laying flat on the table. And I say, okay, we're going to do making a salad and a fruit basket. And I say, will you choose a picture? Okay, so they may choose apple. So I was like, okay, what is this? I asked them, what is this? They say, they'll try to say apple. If they don't say it right, I say, okay, apple. All right, let's break down the sound. Apple. And so as I break it down, I have them repeat it after me before I blend it back together. They say apple. They say pole. Apple. And then they blend it together themselves. Apple. I'm like, well, let's clap it out. Apple. Apple. I get them to do that. And then I say, well, where does the apple go? In the fruit basket or in the salad? If they tell me correctly the fruit basket, I hold up the fruit basket and I say, all right, well, let's see where we see two hands clapping. We're going to put apple there because it has two syllables. And then I proceed to let them, fill in the puzzle, as such. All right. And then we do that until they're all filled in. And what we've done is we worked on trying to produce and maintain syllable shapes. Okay. So that is literally, I'm giving you the honest truth. This is literally how I start off with my children who are just coming through the door working on apraxia. This is what I do in the beginning stages. And sometimes I have to do this for some of my kids for a month, maybe 2 months, and then add little different things in between. But basically this is what I do. All right, so this is the first stage of what I do. It still ended up being a long video. I tried to run through it as quickly as I could. So I will come to you with the second video of what I use once they've made it past this point. I hope that you've enjoyed it thus far. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Thank you.